Hi everyone, in this video we're going to tackle the ideation process, meaning how to find SaaS ideas. So before coding anything, we're going to look for what problem is really worth solving. The ideal scenario when you're at this stage is to solve your own problems or those of your close friends or colleagues. But, well, I do that in my everyday life and I can't necessarily show it publicly on YouTube because I've signed NDAs that forbid me from sharing it. Also, when you're starting out and don't know what to launch, I don't think solve your own problems is great advice. You're a beginner, so by definition, you haven't faced enough issues to know what's really worth developing. You have no idea of the scope of your market, what works or what doesn't. And for a beginner, I think that's one of the worst pieces of advice you can give them. In our case, we're going to do things differently to find SaaS ideas. So, to find an idea, here are a few methods I like to use. First of all, community forums, Reddit, Quora, Facebook groups. Plus, in our specific case, Shopify has a dedicated community forum. Personally, I really like Reddit, and I actually found a tutorial on how to find app ideas on Reddit. I think the method is pretty good, and I'll share the article in the description of this video. So I'll let you go read the article, and you'll see by applying it, you'll find people complaining about certain problems that aren't solved by Shopify or by an app on the marketplace. And sometimes people express needs that you can translate into an application. Sometimes you even have people who have done the legwork for you and explicitly ask for a feature. In short, I think it's a goldmine of information, and honestly, I encourage you to try it. So go read the article. It's not by me, it's from contextstudio.ai. So you can go take a look. And obviously, I also encourage you not to limit yourself to just one method. I've given you three or four. Try to cross reference everything, that's where you'll get the best results. Next, a method we often see, especially with the dream sellers, is to ask AI directly. It could be Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity. So I'm mentioning it because I've seen people present this as a solution for finding SaaS ideas, but I don't recommend relying solely on AI to find niche or software ideas. It's pretty bad overall. Those who sell this to you as a viable solution are often charlatans. Answers to questions like, find me a SaaS idea that makes me 10K a month, are not up to par at all. It goes all over the place. It's complete nonsense. And that's normal. The AI has no idea of your skill level, the time and money you have to dedicate to the project, or even which sector or niche you want to launch in. It's impossible to answer that question with so little information about you. I recommend, of course, using AI in your research to help you make decisions, but don't delegate the entire research to an LLM because I guarantee you'll be disappointed. You have to do like when you develop, meaning contextualize and give sources and a framework to the AI to guide it as best as possible on what you're looking for. Otherwise, the searches will be too broad and you won't get anything concrete. Use AI more as an extension of other methods to refine your research, find competitors, ideas for additional needs, and help you make decisions. I hope I'm making myself clear on this point. Finally, what I also like to do to find software ideas is to go to SaaS marketplace platforms. I'll put a few of them in the description so you can do the same. I like this method because SaaS sellers list their revenue, and that allows me to very easily gauge if there's demand for their SaaS or not. This is the solution I'm going to favor for our case study. One last point, here in my example, I'm starting from scratch, so I don't have a user base, but ideally, if you already have one, you should look for unsolved needs or things that can be improved directly from them. Later on our end, we'll need to set up a way for our customers to contact us, report bugs, ask for help. If they ask for help, it means our UX isn't clear enough. And finally, this will also allow our customers to request new features. That's overall the 4 points we're going to use to create features. Okay, so as we said in the previous point, we're going to go to one of the online SaaS marketplace platforms for inspiration. So let's go to acquire.com. We're already there. I remind you that I put the list of this type of platform in the description. Browse through several and choose the one that suits you best. So here I've already set some filter criteria. I'll let you take a look on your end. You can choose different types of businesses. Hop right here. I advise you to lean towards what you master based on your experience. So, personally, in view of my past experience, I could put SaaS, mobile app, Shopify app. But since we don't want to scatter ourselves here, we gave ourselves a very clear direction in the previous video and said we were doing Shopify apps. So, I'm going to focus solely on this type of startup. Next, we have the asking price filter. So there are two things I don't want to copy: businesses that don't make a dime and struggle to find customers. So to avoid falling into that, I filter for a minimum asking price of $300,000. But I don't want to fall into businesses with huge competitors that are too hard to catch up to either. So I filter for a maximum price of $2 million. Here, you do what you want. I'm explaining quickly, but it's up to you to refine your own filters. Next, I left the other filters as default, but you can refine according to your needs. However, it's still important to know the metrics you see on the screen because these are important numbers to know what you're going to buy or copy. Okay, so to explain this to you, I'm going to go back to my slide, hop. So we're going to stop on each of the metrics. First of all, we have the TTM gross revenue. Basically, it's the gross revenue generated over the last 12 months. Next, we have the TTM net profit. It's the net profit generated during the last 12 months. Then we have the revenue multiple. It's a ratio that compares the asking price to the revenue of the last 12 months. So I put the formula right here. And finally, we have the profit multiple. It's a ratio that compares the asking price to the net profit of the last 12 months. Same, I put the formula right here. Don't hesitate to pause the video to take the time to understand exactly each of the metrics. It's important to understand the health of the business you're going to copy or buy. Anyway, it can be a lot if you've just discovered this, but the most important thing is the TTM gross revenue, which shows if customers are actually paying for this category of products. And then also very important is the TTM net profit, which is the most useful for judging the economic quality of the business. This shows if the product manages to keep a significant portion of its revenue. After that, in addition to this, you'll have to investigate the tool a bit and see if you have the skills and time needed to reproduce certain tools. For example, I don't necessarily like tools that wrap on top of AIs. I think you already know, but all SaaS that offer AI services don't create their own LLM. They often use services from OpenAI, Claude, Stable Diffusion, etc., etc. This type of business can be very profitable, it's true, but what scares me is the speed at which LLM pricing and features can evolve. We are highly dependent on tools that are constantly evolving. And since I don't have 24 hours a day to dedicate to the project, well, I prefer not to go down that road yet, even if these are features I'd love to integrate on a full-time project. There, I think we've summarized well. So here I've put a few thumbs up to study the products that might interest me. I'm going to choose one of them for the example and we'll study it together. I'll cut the video here and we'll meet up once I've done the analysis on my end. And welcome back, team. I'm getting back to you. I analyzed several projects and did quite a bit of research on each of them. We're going to do the research process together for one of them, and you'll see it's pretty simple. Then I'll let you reproduce it on your end, on your own selection of projects, but we'll do at least one together so you can then do it completely on your own. So let's go. This is one of the projects I favorited. It has a very good TTM profit, very good TTM revenue. In fact, they have very nice margins compared to the gross revenue and net revenue. So let's go see what they offer. So here we see it's an application to optimize SEO and edit photos. And actually, It's not really one application, but it's a suite of applications. This is important, you'll see. In fact, they tell us there are 5 Shopify applications. That's a pretty important clue that you're going to discover with me. That's what's going to allow us to identify exactly which software suite it is. Okay, so let's go. When you're looking for software like that, well, the simplest thing is to take the H1, the description, and search on Google. So here I go to Google, hop, I type that. And there, most of the time, actually, we won't necessarily fall directly on the app you're looking for. Most of the time, we fall on the giant. Now, the giant, sometimes the developed applications are alone in their market, and the H1 is specific enough for you to fall directly on it. But here, that wasn't the case, and we fall on Pixseg, bulk image edit, and SEO. So that's the giant market leader with its direct competitor, Store SEO and Image Optimizer. So I went to look. Hop. So here's what Pixseg does. I actually use the bulk image edit and SEO myself, which is a great tool, really saves a lot of time. I used it for myself and for my clients, and honestly, it's great. But I don't think this is the application we're looking for. So we're going to go here instead. Hop. We're going to look at what Storeware does, the publisher of this software, which probably, I don't know this software too well. I see there's AI integrated in it, but I think it probably does pretty much the same thing as Pixseg, give or take, with some added AI features. So here we see what this competitor does. So they do cool stuff on video, document editing, maybe. They make several softwares. Apparently, it's not them because in the description here we saw it was a suite of 5 softwares. So maybe they released a 6th one in the meantime. But as we can see, they're not all focused on image editing or SEO. You see, they do other things with AI in them. I think if it were them who wrote the ad, they would have definitely mentioned it in the ad, which is not the case. And I don't think we're facing the competitor who published the ad. It's not a big deal. We can easily get inspiration from these apps, but since they are big giants, I think the apps are quite complex, especially since there's AI in them, and I don't necessarily want to go complicate the first product I'm going to set up. I'm going to look for somewhat niche applications instead and focus on that because it will be much simpler to build. So for us, it's not the competitor I'm looking for anyway. And so when this happens to me, I change my query on Google a bit and I'll type the name of the giant with alternatives to look for, well, the sub competitors of that giant. So let's go. We get to the Google page and you see I searched all over, right? Each time you'll see competitor names appear. So here it talks about Store SEO. We've already seen this competitor. It compares the 2 giants. We know them and we don't want to copy them. Honestly, not yet anyway. Next, we have a comparison with Avada. There, I'll skip the searches, I'll move forward, and by searching there, you see we go here, I see engage, engage easy, and then, well, I went to search myself, hop, engage Shopify app, hop, I go in, and there, magic, 5 applications that all relate to image SEO. Watermarking, here it's something related to SEO. Here it's to manage alt tags in images. There, photo optimization, swap photo editor. There, I think we've honestly stumbled upon our competitor who wrote the ad, and I'm almost 100% sure it's them selling their software. They do say a suite of 5 softwares related to SEO and image editing. We are right on it. So there, we found our competitor. So I'm not going to harp on all this. You see, in my Google Doc, well, I did this on quite a few of SaaS sale ads. I'll spare you doing all that, but I'll share the Google Doc in the description of the video, and you can analyze what I did and do the same on your end afterwards. As I already said here, I did it through Google, but each time I confirm my research with AI, I try to cross-reference as much information as possible. There. So now that I've gathered quite a few seemingly profitable SaaS ideas, I'm going to cross-reference the different data and try to make a decision based on TTM revenue, TTM profit, the difficulty of reproducing the SaaS, the fact that the customers of these apps are well or poorly served, and based on the competition. I remind you, though, that this build in public channel is also here to help me find a job or a client in my expat country. And I'd like to focus initially on an easy to reproduce application, even if it means doing a simple copy paste at first and then adding UX improvements and new features later on. But here I must admit I need to demonstrate my skills in a fairly short time frame. So that's going to influence the choice I make quite a bit, but you're not necessarily in my situation. So on your end, I encourage you above all to base your decision on gross and net revenue and to go look if your competitor has negative reviews in the App Store and try to differentiate yourself based on that, even if I might just settle for copying and pasting the competitor's app. But you, if you really want to make money with your project, avoid doing that and innovate a bit in terms of features and UX. That's about all for this video. Take care and see you next time.